How would you like to save money by saving your own seeds? If you have to buy seeds season after season after season, it can get expensive. And I don't know about you, but one of the reasons I grow my own food is to save money. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to save seeds from plants like mustard, lettuce, arugula, beans, peas, even corn.
All I have not provided.
That introduction was made several weeks ago, and now I've harvested the spring garden and I've saved all those seeds. So what I've done is I've divided this video into a bunch of folders so that you can easily go to whichever seed that you're interested in, and I'll show you exactly how you can save your seed for that particular vegetable. So it's all marked with timestamps, and you should find it pretty easy to find what you're looking for. I planted my garden about 2 months ago, and no matter where you live around the world, it's at this stage you need to be looking for the very best plants to save your seed from. It doesn't hurt to try. If you're unsure, well, save back some seeds from your original packet so that you'll have those to plant, plus the ones that you save, and then that way you won't be putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Please take a moment to give it a green thumbs up. And why not subscribe? I have over 150 videos now, and they might be helpful. If you're allergic to any plants, like corn, when you're working out in the garden, a men's cotton shirt is ideal. Let's talk about the different kinds of seeds that you can buy. Genetically modified means that the corn seed has been messed with by man so that corn doesn't react to herbicides. So let's say I'm a commercial farmer, I grow a lot of corn, but I've got weeds and I don't want weeds. So I want corn that I can spray with an herbicide that'll kill the weeds, but not the corn. That's basically what genetically modified is for. I don't want something that's been modified. I want something that's as natural as it can possibly be. This is Silver Queen corn. It's a hybrid. You can save seeds from hybrid. Hybrid means that two different kinds of corn have been bred together so that it picks up the good qualities of each of those varieties of corn. You can save the seed from hybrid. You just aren't guaranteed what the outcome will be. If you're patient and you have years, you can save the seed from hybrid corn and just keep the corn that has the traits that you want. I grow Silver Queen corn because we love it so. I do purchase the hybrid corn, Silver Queen. If you want to save seeds that's going to be true to the parent plant, then you want heirloom seeds. So look for the traits that you think is best for your climate, your environment. Take a look at what the reviews are saying. Note where they live. That's a big deal. What may work up in upstate New York is probably not going to work here in Central Florida. Another way to find out what's the best corn to grow in your garden, join a gardening group. Maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's another platform, but see what works for those who are growing corn in your area. Over here is Buell corn. It is a heritage corn. And on the far end, I've got bodacious corn. Both of those are heritage corn. But wait, won't they cross if I'm growing them next to each other? They could. So you look at how long it takes for the corn to mature. If it's a early maturing corn like Buell, then you plant it a couple of weeks before you would plant corn that takes a little bit longer. That way, the pollen from this corn is already spent before this corn gets to that maturity. I do have a video that explains this process very thoroughly, and you got to see it. I'll put a link to it in the description below and also at the end screen. So how exactly do I save seeds from corn? You look for the healthiest corn possible. So I'm going to save this one. It feels pretty full. And this one. Yeah, this one's the best one so far. This one feels really good and solid too. So I'm going to save these, wind them around and mark it so I don't pick those. And I'll pick the ones next to it. So here they are. They're ready to pick. So they're heavy on these dead stalks here. And this is what you want to look for. You want them to be pretty dry. So I'm going to take these inside now, and they will finish drying inside. I like to husk them out here in the garden. I typically do that with corn that I'm harvesting anyway. That way I'm only taking the actual corn inside. So I'm not going to take this off of the cob yet. It's still got, at least 2 weeks, maybe up to 4 weeks before it's totally dry and ready to take off the cob. So here's what they look like now. That is enough corn on there to plant a ton of corn for next year. I have right here a lettuce plant that I've allowed to go into seeds. We call that bolting. They're not quite ready yet. You see they've made little flowers, and they will continue to mature. And I've got to keep a real close eye because they're almost ready. So there's one small lettuce plant that I let continue to grow, even though I planted a spring garden around it. There's another lettuce plant way back here, because this was my bed of lettuce last fall and winter. And look at all the seeds that are coming up here. And again, it's just so wet right now. I've got to keep a real careful eye on how they're coming along. These will open up, hopefully, and have some seeds. You see how they have some little flowers on the end? And then they dry up, like these right here. And then finally there's seeds down in there. Sometimes I'll just pick the whole leaves and everything and just hope for the best. And honestly, I have had some success doing that when it becomes too difficult to separate them out. This is a mustard plant that has bolted. The flowers are so beautiful. I just enjoy having it in my garden. These flowers will eventually become seed pods, and they'll dry up. And in my garden, I just let them dry up and spread their seeds all over the place. And the cool thing about it, here in Central Florida, they don't grow through the summer, but seeds know when to sprout. They sprout starting in September and then into October. And wherever I see them in my garden, I just transplant them to where I want them to grow. Now, if I did want to save them, let me take you over to a plant that's ready to harvest the seeds. This mustard plant bolted probably about 8 weeks ago. As you can see, it looks like a dried up weed, but all of this dried up weeds is little seed pods. So just harvest them, stem and all, and you can take them somewhere else to get the seeds out of them. And it's really easy. I'll show you how to do that. Now, when you want to harvest the seeds, it's super, super easy. All you do is rub the husk between your hands and the seeds will fall out. All I did was agitate the seed pods and look at all the seeds that came out. So you see how little they are? One of the biggest mistakes that gardeners make is they bury tiny seeds too deep and then they say nothing sprouted. So that's why all I'm going to do is stir up the soil around them once they're planted. This is what's left of some arugula that I was growing. Arugula grows through the winter here in Central Florida, and it was really tasty addition to my salads. I originally got the seeds from a gardener in North Carolina. I wasn't sure it would grow here in Central Florida, but it worked, and I've grown to love arugula. I don't know if arugula will self-sow. It probably will, but I don't want to take the chance. I want to save the seeds. So you see a lot of the seed pods have already broken open and dispersed their seeds. Let me show you what's inside just one. You see that? Look at all those seeds. That, if all those seeds sprout, that's enough for my needs. But I'm not sure they'll all sprout, so I'm going to harvest a bunch, and I'll sow them thickly when it comes time to plant. These are Henderson Butterbeans, and I also have Ford Hook Butterbeans on the other side here. The plants don't look all that great this year, but here's the thing. Even when your garden isn't doing all that well, you'll still pick the very best bush to not pick your produce from. I will mark this one, even though that's still, in my estimation, kind of poor, just to have 4 or 5 beans on it. Because it survived through bad conditions this year, those are the beans that I want. Those are the beans that are going to do well in my environment. The butter beans that I have been planting are probably about the 4th or 5th generation now. These are cranberry beans. Now, you can tell by the leaves, they're starting to get really mature, and this is it. They're not going to make any more beans than that. Once the beans inside are mature, the pod will turn yellow and eventually will turn brown and dry and brittle. Here in Central Florida, I don't trust leaving them on the bush until they're dry and brittle. It is the first part of May, and it's going to take another, maybe 4 weeks before these are ready, maybe 6 weeks. And sometime near the end of May, the first part of June, we start getting a lot of rain. And if your seeds are mature, you don't want them getting rained on again because they'll mold and it'll ruin the seeds. So if they're yellow, if the pods have turned yellow, then you can go ahead and harvest them and let them dry off the bush. Sometimes I've pulled the whole bush out and let them dry on the whole bush inside my shed. So spread a sheet out in front of you, crack them open, and just sit back and relax. This is the bush blue lake that I sectioned off so that I wouldn't pick the beans from them. I think this one here, okay, bush blue lake. So you see these little sticks here. It was just to remind me not to pick a little section here. And these on that side are a different kind of green bean. They're called jade. But what I'm doing today is I'm going to go ahead and pick these. They're not dry, but they are mature enough where I need to go ahead and pick them because when I water them with the overhead sprinkler, it's causing some of them to mold. We don't want that. So it's okay to go ahead and pick them now. So these are mature enough that I can go ahead and peel them. It's a lot easier if you wait until the shells are dry. Let's see, these are now next year's seeds. I'll probably actually plant these in the fall because I can grow green beans in the fall. See how difficult that is? Now if this was dry, it would pop right open. So I will spread those out in a dry place, not too hot. I can't put them out in the shed because the shed now gets incredibly hot because of the Florida summer heat. So I will take those inside and let them continue to dry out indoors. Harvesting Cherokee Trail of Tears. Once they get that color, go ahead and pull them, and you want to go ahead and peel them, get the black seeds out of them as soon as possible, because when they get to the stage of where they're completely dried up, like this one, the skin is so tough. The husk is so tough. It's hard for an old grandma like me to get them open. If they were to completely dry and crumble, that'd be great, but I don't know if it's our weather or if it's the bean. It's my first time doing this, but I have learned real quick. Harvest them as soon as they look like that and get them shelled. I really think that as long as it's shriveled like this, it's still okay. This one is still firm. So I'm going to leave this one on the bush. That one, you can see it's all shriveled up right here. So I don't think any more nutrients are going to go to the seeds that are on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest them if they're leathery like this. This is zipper peas. The seeds from these plants are probably about 6 or 7 generations of seeds that I've been saving. So you see how beautiful and lush these plants are. When you're saving seeds from zipper peas, they need to be white or even yellow. So the problem I have here in this garden is stink bugs. Stink bugs will ruin the peas for eating. However, if you find one with a spot on it, you can save that particular zipper pea and it will grow another plant. So the viability of those stung peas is probably around, well, my experience, at least 80%. So don't just throw those seeds away. Save them and plant them next year. So here's one that looks like it's been stung. So let's take a look and see. So what you're going to do, oh, they're not quite mature enough, I don't think. So we'll shell them. So when you shell your peas, they're going to be green, but when you find one that's got a spot on it, okay, so this one right here has a spot, but that's not mature enough to make a plant. So I'm going to keep going. Normally it doesn't take, there's one with a spot on it. Okay, so what you're going to do, and there's another one. These have been stung by a stink bug. So what you do is take them inside, put them on a plate or a towel or a paper plate, let them dry for a few days, and as soon as they're all dried up, you can put them in an envelope, mark it, put it in your freezer, and plant them the next time you plant zipper peas. These are black-eyed peas. Aren't they beautiful? The little blooms, the peas that are growing, they're not ready yet. But you want to treat them the same way that I showed you about the zipper peas. You go ahead and pick them when they're really good and ripe, and then you save the seeds that are probably going to get stung by stink bugs. If not, just save the most mature ones that you can find. Even if you have to leave a few on the bush so that you can be sure that you're getting really mature peas, which are seeds. Don't pick them too young. Be sure they're very, very mature. These peas here are probably about 6 generations of me saving seeds over and over again. Look how beautiful and healthy they are. When you save seeds from your healthiest plants and you keep saving them year after year, then you end up with seeds and plants that are doing really well where you are in your unique situation. When you're sure that your seeds are perfectly dry, it's time to put them away. I just want to give you a little warning. Don't try to hasten it by putting them in the dehydrator. It may say air dry, but it still may be too warm, and it may kill the viability of your seeds. Now, everyone has their own system of how they want to store their seeds. I basically put mine into 2 categories, spring and fall, because here in Florida, I can grow food all year round. Now, I technically have 3 seasons. I have a spring, summer, and fall. The spring can bleed over into the fall or the summer, and the summer can bleed over into the fall. I have enough room in my garden that I can allow for that to happen. I do store my summer seeds in with my spring seeds. So I'm going to take you to my personal stash of seeds and show you exactly how I've labeled them and how I've separated them out so that it makes sense to me. You may live in an area that it's not going to work for you, but you know what your seasons are. So devise a method that works best for you. So come see my personal stash of seeds. So I've got it all spread out so you can see how I organize my seeds. I have so many spring seeds that I have 2 bags, and then I have one that's corn only, one that's just beans. And then I have fall. The fall only takes 1 big Ziploc because the seeds are small. So I will put as many of these smaller bags into one of the spring bags. And if it's corn, it'll go in there. If it's beans, it'll go in there. These will be ready for the freezer. So you can use either Ziplocs, you can use envelopes. It really doesn't matter. And yes, I do store mine in the freezer. Some of these seeds are 5-10 years old, believe it or not, and they're still viable. If you store them in the freezer, it's okay. They'll last for a long time. Unless you're absolutely sure that you'll be able to identify the seeds, be sure to label them. Many of them look very, very similar. These arugula seeds look like mustard seeds. Very similar. Very similar. The beans look like each other. So you've got to be sure that you label them, even if you think you've got a good memory. I'll also write notes on things like paper towels. This is a plum tomato. It's really, really easy. Just label. And if you want to, put the date. Now, I have seeds that have been in the freezer for a long time, and some of the seeds will lose their viability over the years if you keep them in the freezer for a long time, but it's usually pretty slow deterioration. Okay, that one's done already. So I reuse my Ziplocs, and these are zippers from, previous years. I'm going to add these right on top of it. Did I tell you it can be a little messy? So this is enough for probably 3 seasons. If one season fails, I will still have seeds in my freezer. I try not to plant every last seed I have of any particular variety. So I do like to save more than I actually need for the next season. My bodacious corn has been drying for another week, and I believe it's ready to twist off of the cob. Before I do that, though, I wanted to show you what I did with the lettuce seed. I just stripped the leaves and everything. It was all mixed together. We had had rain, and I brought it inside to let it dry. And this is what I have. Now, it says it's an experiment, but I do know now that if I just broadcast all of this, leaves and all, and just stir it into the soil, they do sprout. So I do have some mixed lettuce here for next season. Now this is bodacious corn. It's been drying now for, well, since the day I didn't pick it, it's probably around 7 or 8 weeks. And it's been drying inside for another 4 weeks. So let's see if you can just get the first one started. Oh, here we go. So it is just a little bit difficult to get it off. So that's why I'm wearing the gloves. Once you get it started, they come off pretty easy. And this was one that I discovered later, and I said, well, why not? Just keep it and see what happens. Even though it's not the biggest corn. Can you imagine how much that would cost if you were to order that much seed from a seed store? Now, just for good measure, I'm going to leave this out for a couple more days to dry some more, and then I'll put it in a Ziploc bag, label it, and put it in the freezer in my category called spring. Things like carrots, parsnips, turnips, any kind of root vegetable, I've never saved the seed because it takes 2 years for that vegetable to mature and put up to bolt and put up some seeds in the seed heads. I tried it, and our summers are just too hot and wet, and it just ruins the vegetable while I'm trying to get it to mature into the second year. So those are seeds that I will buy from reputable sources every time I need to plant them. And that would be, for me, Baker Creek, Johnny Seeds, Southern Exposure. Those are my favorite ones. I have tried others, but those 3 have worked very consistently for me. This is Trail of Tears, and this is cranberry beans. I have saved back enough for 2 seasons. That way, if one season doesn't work, I still have beans for the next year, or seeds for the next year. I'm going to enjoy these in soup or on tacos. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, green thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on your bell notifications. If you don't turn on those bell notifications, YouTube algorithm is probably not going to tell you when I make another video. Now, I've got lots of garden work to do today because I'm planting my summer garden. You want to know what I'm planting? Thanks for watching.
Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto